Silence. I feel like I'm a preacher. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here this morning. It is a moment, a day of celebration for us, all of us, because, again, I love this sentence. Aurélien wrote the speech, and that first sentence is fantastic. Thanks to the hard work of French and South African partners, the seeds of cooperation planted a decade ago have borne fruits. Merci Aurélien. That's a good start. So, cher Dan, cher Monsieur Dutoit, which translates in Dutoit in South African, dear colleagues, I would like to go back to the genesis of the French-South African Institute of Agriculture, the SAGRI. Conceived in 2013 by the French and South African authorities, SAGRI was from the outset a strategic project for our Ministry of Agriculture, Food Sovereignty and Forestry. It developed under the impetus of two French experts who were based at the University of Fort Hare from 2015 to 2018, and then branched out with the appointment of Séverine Jaloustre. You will recognize her. She has only one valid foot these days. But she's doing fine. She still delivers on the job. Who is its current director at the University of Limpopo. It has opened up to new partners, the so-called historically disadvantaged universities of Vanda and Zululand, but also agricultural colleges and TVETs, forming a network that supports the capacity development of agricultural development and educational institutions based on three pillars: education, research, and local engagement. And over the course of a decade, this institute has supported the development of curricula, promoted short and long-term mobility between the two countries, supported research and accompanied innovation, as we say in Europe, from farm to fork. The key word in this process has been co-construction, thanks to the strong involvement of the French and South African authorities in its strategic committee, and in its way, SAGRI is clearly a model of good practice, demonstrating the usefulness of political will when it is put at the service of vital issues such as food security, the development of a more innovative economy, and the strengthening of corporate participation in the agricultural sector. And having said that, I want to salute the presence with us today of Frédéric Savin, who's the head of l'Imagrin in Southern Africa. Frédéric est là. And because obviously the question of crops is absolutely critical in our discussions. But I would like also to say that Danone, French company, thanks. Danone is in the country. Danone is relying on 10 farms from KZN. And I also announced to our colleagues from the agricultural department here in South Africa that Club Med, which is an iconic brand, of course specialized in tourism, in resorts, luxury resorts all around the world. So Club Med is working on the opening of a resort in KZN, exactly in Tinle Manor, Balito. And yes, Club Med will be a buyer. And so the policy of Club Med will absolutely apply here in South Africa. It's contracting with local farmers, but with a view of keeping them independent. That's why Club Med only buys never more than 50% of the production of local farms. And that's also is in a way a corporate partner for in our endeavors. So SAGRI has also provided other opportunities for enhancement of the cooperation between South Africa and France, such as the newly established partnership on transforming food systems and agriculture through research in partnership with Africa. Let's call it SARA. That's easier. SARA is a collaborative initiative of the Agricultural Research Council of South Africa, French Agricultural Research Center for International Development, CIRAD, and the National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment, which is the INRAE in French. And with the challenges posed by water resources and climate change, agriculture is and will remain a critical challenge for our collective future. Not only in Eastern Cape, not only in KZN, not only in Limpopo, where SAGRI operates today, but throughout Southern Africa. And so we were in Malawi last week. I was in Lesotho 3 weeks ago. Obviously, not the same challenges than the agriculture in South Africa. Both of these countries face critical to extremely critical food insecurity. And we want to help them. And let's say, for example, for Malawi, there are two challenges. Challenges of survival. Because Malawi is facing not only, again, food insecurity, but hunger caused by droughts, which are absolutely cyclical, and the cycles are getting shorter than ever. Cyclones, heavy rains, plus systemic bad organization. You know, it's about lands that generation after generation are being more and more limited. So with absolutely no potential for neither growth nor survival of the owners and the farmers. Lack of water. 25% of the territory is a lake, but there is still a lack of irrigation. So how can we help them? That's another topic. And obviously, and that's true for Malawi, that's also true for, I believe, South Africa, at least the eastern part of South Africa. Global warming. And the need, and again, I'm not a specialist, but I think that your field of expertise is incredibly interesting and requires a lot of skills. And among them, yes, there will be the need to rethink the choice of crops and the choice of products that farmers will be able to grow. You know, we have the biggest taxpayer in Malawi is the French company called Castel, which produces the beer, which means that every family, every party knows about Castel. And Castel is facing a challenge, an economic challenge, which will probably lead them to shift from malt to sorgo, which means it's good news. It's local crops, local cultures. But all that has to be rethought. And that's why I asked Séverine some time ago to think about expanding the scope of action of SAGRI. South Africa faces challenges when it comes to agriculture. Obviously, the fact that it's a powerhouse when it comes to agriculture, but it's also an agriculture that can be qualified as probably with inequalities. And that's why Séverine is focusing on how to get the competencies, the ecosystem, the skills to the former disadvantaged farmers. And we're very much supportive of that. And we have been since the inception of SAGRI. But we believe that the challenges are global. And that's why I asked, again, Séverine to work on expanding the action of SAGRI to at least Malawi and Lesotho to start with. So it is about to take root in Malawi, and we can all congratulate Séverine for spending a week in Malawi with 1 foot, which is something. And yes, so you led a mission accompanied by DSTI, the FAO, and the French embassy, obviously. And that's great, so thank you for that. The process is ongoing, it will require effort, but we believe it's absolutely critical. So again, looking back over the past 10 years, we can only be enthusiastic about the progress made by the Franco-South African friendship, yet we must also be aware of the growing challenges. And we have been working on these topics very recently with some researchers, South African researchers, who came here and presented the situation. I'm seeing a lot of people watching the screen, and I have to acknowledge the competition, and fortunately there's no sound, so it's up to me to be more entertaining than the screen. So, as you may know, in 2014, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, in its 5th assessment report, still considered it possible to limit the temperature rise to +2 degrees Celsius, an ambition which has been renewed the following year by the Paris Climate Agreements. Unfortunately, this imperative goal is receding into the distance, just as the growing fragmentation of the world is reducing the possibility of a coordinated approach to these global issues. And some recent elections somewhere in the West have made this goal even more difficult to reach. Not impossible, but we may not have the same support from everyone on the planet. At present, scientists agree that climate change will have detrimental effects worldwide, with Southern Africa being particularly hard hit. Rising temperatures accompanied by changes in rainfall patterns and unexpected climatic phenomena will affect all human activities. And according to some scenarios, Gauteng, which relies, as we know, for 40% of its water consumption from Lesotho, could experience a day-zero drought within the next few years. And so we have certainties. I mean, the scientists we've been talking to have certainties that global warming will have a huge impact on Southern Africa. And by the way, mostly on Botswana. So if you want to visit Botswana, don't wait, because I don't know how many people will live there in 50 years. 50 years, maybe 30 years, because it will be sort of the epicenter of the global warming in Southern Africa. So we have certainties about global warming. We have expectations, but not certainties, about continuing rainfalls in the west of Southern Africa. And the scientists believe, but again without certainties, that Lesotho, KZN will still experience heavy rainfalls, which is good news and not such a good news if these rainfalls are not mitigated. And we all know that past rainfalls have had a dramatic effect on the population in KZN. We are also working with Lesotho to try and help them, again, mitigate and make the most of these waters that makes it the water reservoir of Southern Africa. But again, this has an impact on agriculture, and this is why I want Séverine to also work on Lesotho. Lesotho is not as poor as Malawi. Malawi is incredibly poor. Malawi has basically no exports, with the exception of some bad tobacco And I think we can all agree on the fact that tobacco is not a product of the future, right? Some tea, some macadamia nuts. It is obvious that the added values from those products is limited, and Malawi badly needs to export things. Lesotho is not in that in such a dire situation. The economy is a bit more diverse, but Lesotho experiences food insecurity, and we know that among the youth there is a lack of critical nutrients. So on all this, we want to help. So again, Séverine, next mission, Maseru. So we believe the symbolic limit of +2 degrees is still within our reach, but we must also think about cushioning the inevitable shock by preparing resilient societies. Agriculture will be one of the losers of climate change, but also one of the means of this resilience, and by developing local and networked initiatives, drawing inspiration from agroecological thinking, and rethinking our relationship with water and soil resources, SAGRI will be a key player in this transition. Just so you know, we are supporting a program in Malawi to incentivize farmers to stop cutting trees and plant new trees in order to save the fertility of the soils and also make sure that the kids can be warmed during the winter time. So it's a complicated topic, but a very interesting one. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to warn you that in a few moments I will have the pleasure of presenting the insignia of the Ordre National du Mérite Agricole to Monsieur Davel, French name, pure African, South African citizen, and to Monsieur Maiwache, as a token of our appreciation for the work, gentlemen, you have done. I am sure that the following speakers will confirm the validity of these two awards, and I will now give the floor to Monsieur Dan Dutoit, Deputy Director General of the DSTI. And of course, the title Deputy Director General, between us it's a joke. We all know he's the Director General, right? And has been for a long time, and will be maybe for a long time. Dan, up to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Merci, Monsieur l'ambassadeur Martinon. C'est toujours un plaisir de me retrouver chez vous. Mais pas uniquement un plaisir, c'est un vrai privilège, vu le soutien et l'amitié très important et stratégique de vous personnellement, mais aussi de la France pour l'Afrique du Sud. So, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, I am officially the Deputy Director General. There'll be no confusion. But that doesn't really matter, because all of us who have the privilege and honor to be a public servant serving South Africa, it's not the titles which matter. It's what we do. And it's really important for me to be here this afternoon. First of all, to celebrate what is really a success story of French-South Africa collaboration, and that is SAGRI. But more importantly, to celebrate the people who made it possible. And in these brief remarks, the theme of people will be very important. For us in the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, I would say there are three key reasons on why SAGRI is so important for us, and why we don't use those words lightly, say this is a success story. First of all, because it's the model of collaboration. It's a model of a true partnership and of true co-ownership, where we work together as equal friends. But it's also a model of collaboration which very deliberately seek to invest in what is that most precious, the most important resource for knowledge production, for science and innovation, and that's people. And it's in helping us build the next generation of South African researchers, of South African agricultural professionals. And we're doing that, and that's what makes SAGRI unique. And if my Minister Nzimani was here and speaking here, point he would emphasize is that it helps us to transform the South African science system. by very deliberately focusing on those universities which in our terminology we refer to as the historically disadvantaged institutions, which sadly, after 30 years of our democracy, this year we're celebrating 30 years of democracy, a lot more has to be done to fully incorporate and empower them to become active components of the South African science system in the light of the discrimination which they suffered from over so many years. Because that's really what it's about. It's about unlocking the huge potential. So for us, this is a collaboration of co-partnership, and it's focusing on people. And you said it, Ambassador, that key element, the triangle of bringing education, research, and community engagements together. That really is what science in the 21st century should all be about. But it's not only the way we collaborate, it's also on what we cooperate. In our national science strategies, our focus, we've moved away from identifying priority scientific disciplines or specific technology platform. It's all about what are the challenges we as a society face. And if you look at the document we refer to as the decadal plan, you will see there are those key challenges such as food security, such as support for rural development, such as creating entrepreneurship support in rural areas, in sectors such as the agriculture, to stimulate our economic growth. And these are all priorities which directly speaks to the SAGRI focus. The Ambassador spoke about understanding and mitigating and adapting to the impact of climate change and agriculture. So also from a thematic priority perspective, the collaboration we have in SAGRI is directly aligned with our priorities. And it's rare indeed, Ambassador, that we can celebrate such a partnership where we can truly say that the SAGRI agenda is also the South African agenda. But more than that, I don't know if Ambassador, you had a time this morning, our President spoke. He launched the G20 agenda. Of course, South Africa, from the 1st of December, as the G20 presidency. And one of the key thematic priorities of the G20 presidency for South Africa will be food security, with a very strong focus on research and education as also captured by the SAGRI mandate. So from a thematic perspective, very important. But there's a third reason as well, and that's something the Ambassador and I do, which is our mandate, and that's science diplomacy. And that's how we use programs such as these to bring our two countries together, to bring our governments together, but not only the governments, really the people of South Africa and France. Because governments come and go, but we stay as the citizens of these two countries. And this is again where the investment of SAGRI in people, in developing networks, and leading us to an occasion where our partner country can celebrate some of our compatriots. It just shows the warmth and the sincerity of the relationships. My Minister Nzimande, was 3 weeks ago in Paris, and he had a very productive meeting with his counterpart, the French Minister for Higher Education and Research, Minister Patrick Hetzel, which would set an ambitious agenda for our collaboration together. So I have also no doubt that SAGRI, over the years and in future, has played a part to strengthen this very warm and important political, economic, and social relationship between South Africa and France. But then to conclude, I said it's really about the people, and I don't want to anticipate you affording the honor to Mr. Maweshe and my colleague and friend Mr. Dafel, just to say that also we from the South African government really appreciate and are touched by this honor which the French government bestows. If you permit me, Ambassador, I would just like to say a brief few words about Mr. Dafel, because of him, and I will explain now why, I would unfortunately have to leave very soon. So before he worked on SAGRI, Francois was really one of the founding fathers of a big event which is taking place this week, the Science Forum South Africa, which is now Africa's largest open science event. We have more than 5,000 people coming this week. I have to go to brief my minister. That's why I have to rush off. And I think that it is a beautiful. I mean, France always has the French flair, you know. For me, it's like the French touch that you awarding this honor to Francois on the day which the Science Forum is starting, because in the department, many of us know him for his work on the Science Forum, and now SAGRI is really the latest major initiative to which he has contributed. So Francois, also on behalf of me personally, as a colleague and friend, but also of Minister and our leadership in the department, please accept our appreciation for your work, and this is justifiable recognition. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
So, good evening or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rachid Benlefqe. I work at the French Ministry of Agriculture. So, I'm in charge there about cooperation, international cooperation with African countries. So, Excellency, Mr. the Ambassador of France, esteemed guests, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the French Ministry of Agriculture, it is truly an honor and privilege to be with you today for this singular celebration that highlights the importance that South Africa and France place on international collaboration in a crucial role of agriculture education. More than 10 years ago, we were blessed to embark in a meaningful and relevant pathway drawn by a man born in this wonderful land of South Africa, a man of vision and generosity, an icon that inspires many countries around the world, a man that fought for justice, equity, dignity, and harmony, and believed that education is a priority for all, no matter where you are and who you are. I'm referring, of course, to Mr. Nelson Mandela. More than 10 years ago, hand in hand with our South African colleagues, with enthusiasm, pragmatism, and responsibility, we forged together the SAGRI. SAGRI is about putting together the right people for the right reasons, and sharing the common hope to provide equal opportunities for the youth of South Africa and make a better world for all of us. Because any child is an asset for his country. That's the spirit of SAGRI. It is also remarkable to highlight that the governance of SAGRI we have set in place a bilateral strategic committee, which is unique. We meet on a regular basis. Finally, we could meet in blood and flesh, share our views and thoughts, and open new perspectives for collaboration to meet the challenges of food security and nutrition, food safety and climate change, in a goal to ensure the rural development, inclusive business models development, and value chain development. All that for the success of young generations. Today, the strategy of SAGRI is clear, consistent, and structured. In this, France, with its rich history and deep-rooted expertise in agriculture, is eager to share its knowledge and experience with our South African counterparts. Our agriculture sector, marked by innovation and sustainable practices, has yielded remarkable results over the years. Technology, processing, marketing, farm management, agroecology, pedagogical innovation are driving forces in evolution of agriculture. They are the key aspects of our both educational systems, organization or institutions and framework. France and South Africa have embraced all these advancements in agriculture, and we already had several opportunities to share our experiences. In integrating them into educational curricula, for instance, embracing modern tools and key techniques is key to preparing the next generation for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Therefore, French and South African together, we stand at the crossroads of an exciting journey where knowledge, experience, and innovation converge. Through SAGRI, the exchange of ideas and practice between our nations holds the potential to reshape the landscape of agriculture education and research for the better. In this light, I would like to express sincere gratitude for this celebration, as it marks a significant step towards strengthening the bonds between France and South Africa in the realm of agriculture education. In this light, I would like to acknowledge and appreciate the tremendous work done by the SAGRI team. Norman Maiwashe, and Séverine Jalous, respectively Director and Deputy Directors, with the unwavering support from François Devol, and Modiko Pajane, and I have also had to add Komotso Seikenen from the DSTI. We have to remember that the beginnings of SAGRI was not a picnic. This was not easy. But thanks to your positive energy, to your involvement, you managed to overcome many, many challenges. And you proved that it always seems impossible until it's done. Thank you for that. You managed to impulse a fantastic dynamic by engaging strong connection and communication dialogue with university, research institutes. Many universities, Limpopo, Venda, Forterre, Zululand, colleges, TVET, private sector, donors, all that for the benefit of the communities by supporting innovation, entrepreneurship, in a holistic development of our education institutes. Again, many thanks for that, I really appreciate it, on behalf of the French Ministry of Agriculture. Now, you are in the process of opening a new chapter. SAGRI is expanding at the regional level. Soon, Lesotho and Malawi are going to join. But there is still a lot of work to do. We still are facing many challenges, a long way to make SAGRI a sustainable organization. We still need to strengthen its juridic status, its business model, its budget. We need the support of any stakeholder that is willing to invest in SAGRI and agriculture education. Any stakeholder who is interested or concerned by agriculture education, and it's worth investing in human capital. By investing in human capital, you probably remember that by investing in human capital, you never lose. Either you win or you learn. And with SAGRI, you can learn a lot. Together, we will learn a lot. As a conclusion, I would like to express again our heartfelt appreciation to the SAGRI team and our South African partners. May this collaboration be robust and an enduring partnership between France and South Africa in a noble pursuit of advancing agricultural education. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Petronella Chaminuka, and I'm with the Agricultural Research Council. I'm here just to make a few remarks on behalf of my CEO, who could not be here, Dr. Lita Maginga, but he sends his warm wishes and hearty congratulations, particularly to the two colleagues. Our very own valued Prof. Norman Maiwashe and Francois as well. It's a very deserved honor. So I'm just going to say a few words in terms of the ARC's long standing research and innovation partnerships with France. I'd put in my notes to mention the TARA initiative, which the ambassador has just mentioned. In fact, one of my colleagues is currently in Morocco to attend a TARA meeting where they are discussing the scientific agenda for the initiative. And this initiative is particularly very important to us as it has power to transform food systems around the continent, with up to 26 organizations from 14 countries, and the ARC is proud to have been one of the founding members and the first African side president to that. We also work with INRE and CIRAD, as well as a couple of universities. But just to go on to the work that we've done with SAGRI, it aligns very much with the work and the mandate of the ARC in terms of education and training. Research and development is the core of the ARC's business. And the opportunity as well for us to have contributed in various ways in terms of the success of the SAGRI partnership that we are celebrating today. And then community engagement, it goes beyond engagement. I think the approach, it's about knowledge transfer, but also co-learning and co-creation, which are very fundamental for sustainability. And within the South African context, as well as around the African continent where unemployment is high, I think the work that has been done and is ongoing in terms of developing entrepreneurship skills and also stimulating innovation in rural communities, we really are proud to be part of that, but it has a lot of potential long-term impact. And this impact for SAGRI, as you embark on this new chapter of expansion within the region, for us as ARC, we would also want to see this being mainstreamed as well as aligned for leveraging purposes on some of those other projects that are going around that are going on within the continent, like TARA, but also the ARC's own networks within the Southern African region. And I am positive that there will be a lot of piggybacking that will happen in terms of our partnerships around the region. The ARC has a number of projects that we've actually funded within the SADC region. We have a small funding fund that we invite our researchers to identify collaborative projects with partners in the region, and the ARC funds those projects. So it could also be an opportunity for us to expand, the SAGRI work as well as the work that we are doing. And I also just want to mention other opportunities that pertain to centers of collaboration that the ARC, together with the Department of Agriculture, is currently busy establishing on climate smart agriculture, as well as the work that we are doing, which links with the remarks that the ambassador made about the need to expand crop choices for farmers. We are also involved in developing a center of excellence that we're calling Broadening the Food Base, with the intention to also enhance food and nutrition security, but give farmers opportunities to also develop climate resilience in terms of agriculture, but to enter into some of those mainstream agricultural markets. I also just want to re-emphasize that the goals of SAGRI, as outlined there, align very well with the ARC mandate. So this partnership is a partnership for us that is an exemplary partnership, and particularly because of the relationships that have been formed that also have made it a success. I know a number of ARC colleagues have been involved even in the adjudication of and the hosting of the innovation awards. So I just want to conclude by thanking the embassy for the support as well as the invitation for us to be here, and to Severin for all the dedication, all the partnerships. I know I hear from my colleagues sometimes, it's hard when things are not going so well and you want to host events. But I think through that patience and perseverance, we've always managed to really deliver very well within this partnership. And together with all the stakeholders, it is my expectation and hope that greater things will be also achieved. And lastly, I have to say congratulations again to Norman particularly, and also Francois. Thank you.
Wow. But it's easier with that. Dear Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about FS-AGRI. And I think today, to speak about FS-AGRI, if you are a woman, you need to have a problem with your left foot. That's what I think. Okay. So normally it should be Norman here, but this year I decided it would be my turn. So I hope and I think I'm speaking our both minds, telling you how emotional it is for us to be here today to celebrate 10 years of FS-AGRI and hoping for a bright future ahead of us. It has been a long journey made of good days, bad days, and so on. But the way it takes time to have a good wine or a good cheese, such as Pigodon, it took time to have a good FS-AGRI. And so there are many things that have been already said about FS-AGRI, so I won't elaborate. I just want to highlight some of our achievements. And so let's count. One single objective that we have finally, which is capacity building. We're not here to train farmers, maybe train trainers, but if you consider the organizations that are on board, we are more here to have a deeper rethinking of the system, to maybe have curricula with higher employability, or applied research that would turn into innovations able to foster the economic development of our communities. And to do that, we have this strategic bilateral committee that was spoken about. And as we say in my hiking group, we started as strangers, and then we became one family with somebody damaged, but that's not a problem. For two countries that didn't know each other, but decided to invest on emerging agriculture. And I have to say that since the beginning, everything has been made to turn this crazy bet into a reality. So first, with the French Ministry of Agriculture, which has decided 10 years ago to appoint a deputy director and has never changed its mind so far, and it's huge. Then with the STI, who has been funding our activities for the past 5 years, and now is closely involved in our activities, like we did 1 month ago when we went all together to Malawi for our scoping mission. And last but not least, the French embassy, who has provided us with such a support, and especially this year, because we have been blessed, thanks to Mr. Ambassador and Aurélien Lenné, to be recognized at an Université Franco-X and received so much funds that were unexpected. It meant a lot to us. So I want to thank you all. 3, for the pillars. So I won't elaborate on it. I think you know them now. This pillar enable us to engage with different stakeholders from private and public sectors. So in a nutshell, our motto could be, don't work in silo, come and bring your ideas. And so FS-AGRI is an open platform where any stakeholders involved in agriculture and education is more than welcome to come and share their efforts and come with us to work with us. As a proof, tomorrow we will have a session during the Science Forum about agroecology. And we won't only speak science, we will also speak policy making. We'll also speak education and how to involve farmers in a win-win approach. This kind of activities that gather people from various backgrounds is the backbone of FS Agri. It's in our genes, and I think it's part of our uniqueness. For the number of people currently involved in the management of FS Agri. If you know FS Agri, you know me. But it would be very unfair not to pretend I'm on my own and not to thank the people I work with. So ladies first, Cabello and Irene, where are you? Yeah, so can we? Cabello and Irene are part of admin staff of ARC, but they dedicate a part of their time to FS Agri. And they are crucial to us because you can have the brightest ideas. If finally you can't sign a contract, you can't book a flight ticket, or you can't pay a grant, you do nothing, you are nothing. And that's not our case, thanks to them. And I have to say it's quite difficult for them because they have to combine French and South African rules on a short notice. And we have experienced that just yesterday, but they do it with such a dedication and a smile that I have to thank them for that. The other secret behind the success is Prof. Norman Maiwache. You will see him, but I have to tell you, it's the first time I have the opportunity to speak my mind about him. So let's go. Let's go. So, Norman, I really appreciate your support and your passions with me. Especially when I show you my French grumpy face. Never happens, in fact. Well, I also enjoy our conversation in your office or over a glass of wine, or is very important. And more importantly, you have two qualities that make you an outstanding boss. First, you let me autonomy. You trust me enough to let me explore, try, implement, finally make my mistakes and learn from them. And I'm quite at ease with that because, and that's the most important, I know that in bad times, when I'm attacked, you always have my back. That's rare, priceless, so thank you for that. 5, for the number of Southern African countries that were involved in our last Agitech Innovation Challenge. This challenge began small at the University of Limpopo in 2019, but then we grew and we grew fast, so that a few years later we were able to have a dedicated category for startups involving 5 countries in the region. That's why we began to think that, SAGRI could turn into FS Agri, the French Southern African Agricultural Institute. And this dream is now becoming a reality with the first scoping mission we had in Malawi, thanks to the embassy. 6, when I arrived 6 years ago, we received roughly 6 million rand from the French embassy, and then 6 million rand from DSI. This huge money bought us time to get to know each other, define ourselves, define our strategic plan, identify the activities we could run. But it also gave us time to think bigger, have more ambitious projects, like the one we want to implement on food sovereignty in Limpopo, the one we want to implement on agric co-op in KZN, and the most ambitious one, which is about how to teach agroecology at any level in the region. This project requires funding, support, and so on, which we are currently lacking. So, and that's the most important part of my speech. If you think your vision aligns with the one of FS Agri, and somehow you can support us, feel free to contact us and see how we can collaborate. 7, we are almost done, is the number of South African institutions currently involved in FS Agri. We started with 3 historically disadvantaged universities, but then opened up to technical and vocational training. And last week, we had an amazing workshop with the Department of Basic Education, hoping that in the next future, the Agric High School would come on board. It's very important for us because it increases our footprint and our impact on emerging agriculture. And we are really excited about that. So really understand FS Agri's doors are open. Don't be afraid to push them. 8, for the number of South African students that received a scholarship to study a full master degree in France. Some of them were funded by NRF, another one by the French embassy. All of them performed so well that they made us proud of them. And they made us advocate for our own mobility program for short-term and long-term mobility of students and staff. And I hope it will be one of our next achievements. 9, for the number of startups that were supported through our innovation challenge. We began little, but then, thanks to the French embassy, DSTI, and UNDP, we have been able to support 9 of them with grants from 40,000 rand up to 170,000 rand. It's big. It can make a difference. And that's the difference we want to have in the future in innovation. 10, yeah, finally. 10 is my wish that in 10 years, people will still be here gathering, celebrating the Institute and its achievements in the region. And I know that with you on board, it will be a reality. Let me conclude with a few words for you, because if we are here today, if you are here today, it's because somehow you have been part of the journey. Somehow you have contributed to this success through funding, in-kind contribution, or even a conversation that opened our minds. And for that, in the name of SAGRI, I want to thank you all, and I hope you will still be part of our future. Thank you. Voilà.